Hi y'all, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Misty, and of course the channel's name is Speculative Magpie. And I guess you're wondering where I've been. Probably not, but anyway. So thought I'd come back and talk about some books. I've been away for a while, but we'll try to get back up on track. I'll talk about, me being off and not doing too much these past couple months and where we're going to go in the next video. But, we're not here for that right now. We're here to talk about books. So let's talk about books. So we're going to go back to December. Actually, probably back to November. Yeah, November, because we're going to do November's books, then December's books, and then kind of a mixture of the last half of December and the beginning of January, because I completed a trilogy that I started in December. I finished it the first week of January. So we'll be doing that. Well, so let's talk about November's books. November's books, I did the, the little reading challenge. I didn't complete it, but December's books were more sort of like kind of like an experimental month for me. I didn't really feel like reading much that month. It's hard to get a lot done. So what I did was I listened to some audiobooks. I don't normally like audiobooks because it's hard for me to focus on them. They don't read as fast as I can. So my mind starts to wander and I find myself having to pull myself back to concentrate on the books and like rewinding a lot and things like that. So that was kind of frustrating, but I managed to get through 2 audiobooks, and then I read one ebook that specifically horror. When I read on my e-reader, which is my Kindle or my phone, I normally read like trashy shifter romance books because that doesn't require a lot of brain power, and I can usually read one in a couple hours. Thinking I might start reviewing those on these channels too. It might be kind of funny, but we'll see. So yeah, the first book that I read, I'm going to try to do that editing thing where I put the cover like right here, and I'm doing this really weird gesture. So this will be where I will put the book, and I will know to put the book here. But the book, first book I read was The Vanishing by Wendy Webb. Now, the reason why I read that book is because Books Yada Yada read it, and I pretty much adore all of her books and videos. So I wanted to read a book that she really enjoyed. Plus, it was like right up my alley. It sort of sounded like a Darcy Coates book, sort of like a cozy horror book, and it was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave it like 5 out of 5 stars. Basically, it's a while back, so I don't really remember the character names, which is not really good. In fact, I think I'll probably stop this video and write those names down so I can remember. So yeah, I'll be right back and we'll finish this. Okay, I'm back. Did y'all miss me? So, we're talking about The Vanishing by Wendy Webb. And I had to go look up the people that were actually in the book. So, I figured I'd read you the synopsis really quick, and then we can talk about it really quick. This is probably going to be a pretty long video, y'all, since I'm trying to get 3 books into one video. So, yeah. So, The Vanishing. Recently widowed and rendered penniless by her Ponzi-scheming husband, Julia Bishop is eager to start anew. So when a stranger appears on her doorstep with a job offer, she finds herself accepting the mysterious yet unique position, caretaker to his mother Amaris Sinclair, the famous and rather eccentric horror novelist whom Julia has always admired, and who the world believed was dead. When she arrives at the Sinclair's enormous estate on Lake Superior, Julia begins to suspect that there may be sinister undercurrents to her too good to be true position. As Julia delves into the reasons why Amaris chose to abandon her successful writing career and withdraw from the public eye, her search leads to unsettling connections to her own family tree, making her wonder why she was really invited to Havenwood in the first place, and what monstrous secrets are still held prisoner within its walls. I loved all of these characters. We had Julia, we had Aiden, Amaris, and then we had the love interest, which I don't really remember the dude's name. It was like, what was his name? Oh, well, I didn't really like him. I wanted Julia to hook up with Aiden, but hey. The Scottish guy was like the stable keeper and everything, so he was kind of written to be this mysterious, love interest kind of thing. But what I loved about this book is what I love about all of these cozy horror stories. They're just enough spooky to be interesting. They're very atmospheric. Probably the one qualm I have about these type of stories is how neatly everything ties up at the end. Is like they start pulling out all these different connections and why this stuff is going on, and you're just like, okay, sure, yeah, we'll go there. Julia is awesome. Her character, she's like, everybody's after her husband. He owes everybody so much money, and she's gonna get sued. She's gonna get arrested. And this guy shows up on her doorstep and says, I can make you vanish, which is where the title comes in. He's like, come stay with me. You're gonna look after my mom, and we'll just try it. If you don't like it, I can set you up with a new identity and you can go on your way. But here, no one will know where you go or what happened to you. So she's like, okay. And when he comes to get her, she's like, just packed some clothes. He makes her leave her phone, her credit cards, everything. So when she goes off with this guy, she has nothing, no identification, no phone, no passport, no birth certificate. It's just, she's basically at his mercy. So, red flag number one. But she shows up to his house and meets his mother, who is this author that she likes, who writes these like wonderful horror stories that she loved. And she's just basically the mother's companion, to take care of her, because she's older and she's, has a little bit of dementia, not much, but just enough to where Aiden is concerned, and he has work that he has to go do. So, which you're never quite sure what happens. So, and she meets this stable guy, Scottish guy. And she starts trying to put to pieces why this house seems familiar to her, why all these people seem familiar to her. And like the next night, she's watching the news and her house burns down, the house that she used to live in. So now she definitely has nowhere to go back to. And this is just a fun, atmospheric book I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm so glad I fangirled Books Yada Yada enough to read what she suggested, because it was really good. I really enjoyed it. She's probably going to be one up there with Darcy Coates that I'm going to read again, and I want to own her books, seeing as this was something I listened to instead of, reading. So, and then let's talk about the next book. So, big awkward gesture so I can put the book here. Kill Creek. I read Kill Creek, who's the author, by Scott Thomas. Pretty much everybody knows about Kill Creek. Haunted house story for authors are convinced to go spend Halloween night in this haunted house. Basically for this Wainwright to do his interview radio, internet show, radio. God, I feel old. And so they're all convinced to go. You have Sam, which is sort of like the up-and-coming horror author. You have T.C. Moore, which is the intense female horror writer. You have Samuel, Simon, who is sort of like this elder gentleman who's been writing horror for decades, huge fan base. And then you have Daniel, which is like their version of R.L. Stine. He sort of writes scary books for younger readers with a moral, because he's like Christian, which I don't really feel R.L. Stine does. I feel the books that Daniel wrote feels more like the book series Dark Forces, which no one talks about. Am I the only one that read Dark Forces back in the 80s? Those were some awesome books, but they were very heavy-handed in the, here's the moral that you need to follow. About, well, whole nother video. And this one was a little bit harder for me to get through, and it's nothing on the book and nothing on the narrator, because the narrator was awesome in this book. The one who narrated The Vanishing was awesome too. She was amazing, and this gentleman was awesome too. It's just, like I said, it was very hard for me to focus on being read to. But still, yeah, Kill Creek is definitely worth the hype. The atmosphere was awesome. It was a full-on high-octane read. It's like just when you thought the story was going to end, it was like, but wait, there's more. And then it would move on, and it would just be full throttle. I don't know if Scott Thomas has written anything else, but I'm definitely going to check out more of his books if he writes more, or if he has a back catalog, because it was amazing. It's definitely a book that I want to own. I'm definitely I don't really reread books, but I think I might reread this one simply because I think I could get more out of it sitting down and concentrating on the words. I don't want to talk too much about the plot of the book because so much happens, and I think if you go in not knowing what's going on, sort of like, 12 Nights at Rotterhouse. I know I didn't like that book, but that's, neither here nor there. I just think you need to go into this book blind and just experience it along with everybody else. The characters were so amazing, and there's so many times that this book actually broke my heart. I cried a couple times in this book. It wasn't overly scary to me, but I was so invested in what was happening to these people that it was just, I'm just really glad that I took the time to read this book, because to be honest, I wasn't going to. It just didn't seem like something I wanted to read, which is really weird considering it's a haunted house book. But it's really worth it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I mean, if you haven't read this yet, it's been going around Horror BookTube for a while now. I really think it's worth the read, and it was so good for me. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is an ebook. It was a short. It wasn't very long. It was called The Worm and His Kings by Haley Piper. This was a cosmic horror book written by a woman, and y'all, it was so good. This was another 5 out of 5. I mean, basically the story is Monique is this like young homeless person, and she and her girlfriend became homeless for various reasons, and her girlfriend Donna just disappears on her, and she's trying to find Donna. She's been looking all over for her. The place that she normally goes is like underneath this bridge in New York City, and that's where she normally sleeps and everything. But she has her tent and everything set down. But there's this space by her that there's nothing in it, but it feels like there's something there. People go to put their stuff there and they just immediately walk off. Well, she hasn't been underneath this bridge in a while because she's been trying to find Donna. So she goes back after several days and she crawls into her tent, and that's when she sees the Gray Maiden, which is this huge, hulking, towering beast that's covered in like this red cloak. No, this gray cloak. And she peeks out and watches as this beast with talons kind of reaches down, picks up this homeless woman, and walks off with her. Everybody else is like, like all the other homeless people underneath this bridge are like all backed down and scared, and she just gets this feeling that she needs to follow this monster so she can find Donna. So she follows this monster, and it leads her to this underground world that has this cult there, and they are trying to bring back what they call the worm. And the worm is this like cosmic god that they can bring back through song. They basically want him to unmake the world and remake it like he was supposed to do way back in the time of Pangea, but it got messed up because the king wouldn't give the worm his bride. So Monique feels that Donna is here. She just has to search for her. So she basically infiltrates the cult in an effort to find her girlfriend. And this was, y'all, I love H.P. Lovecraft. I know he's problematic, but I enjoyed this story as much, maybe a little bit more than I enjoy H.P. Lovecraft. This was really good. It had that cosmic horror, that weird atmosphere, and it left you kind of like a lot of H.P. Lovecraft stories do, where you don't quite know what's going on. Where when everything comes to an end, you're left, okay, I kind of understand what happened, but I'm not quite sure. Which I think I really enjoy about cosmic horror is the ambiguous endings that happen. So this one was another 5 out of 5 star reads for me. It was really good. Yeah, those were basically the books that I read in November. Please do not think that I'm anyway calling audiobooks not reading, because I'm not. Audiobooks are awesome, and I think it's an amazing resource to have. I am just not capable of using it. my husband had some Audible credits, and I really wanted to read somehow, so I tried it again. And I already knew that audiobooks are not for me, but I tried. I got through 2 books. I figure that's pretty impressive for me. So yeah, those were 3 of the books that I read in November. They were all for the Evil-a-thon, but I never really quite finished that readathon thing. So yeah, that's it. And I'm going to edit and try to smush the videos together. And thank you for coming. And I'll talk to you next time where we can talk about some more books and things. Okay? Talk to you later. Bye.